What's up, y'all? Welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel. I'm happy to have you here. Happy New Year. I hope y'all enjoyed your holidays. I'm not very much of a New Year's resolution kind of girl. I used to be, but then I always had these resolutions and they never got done. So I stopped doing that a while ago, but I will say that the new year definitely does feel like a breath of fresh air. It feels like a time where things can just kind of shift a little bit. Things that it feels very much out with the old and with the new. It feels like a new start. It feels like new beginnings. It feels like new hope. So even though not everything changes as soon as the clock strikes 12, it still feels like there's a breath of fresh air, there's a newness about it all. And so I've been doing a little bit of reflecting on what do I want this year to look like? What do I want to change about myself in order to feel like I can get the most out of this year? Because I reflected in my last video, I talked about 25 lessons that I learned in 2025, and I was able to really stop and reflect and see so much of the things that I've been learning. But I feel like now that I've learned so many things, I want to take that and actually put it into practice. 2026 is going to be the year where all of the lessons that God taught me last year, they're actually going to make sense because I'm going to be able to put them in practice in this year. And when I was thinking about it, not that I would say that every year I come up with one signature word, but if I could have a word for 2026, it would be surrender. And I was thinking about this just a couple of weeks ago about how I want to get to the point where I am fully submitted to God and his plan for me, that I don't get in the way, I don't let anything else get in the way of what it is that he is trying to do in and through my life. I think with this new year rolling around, it's the time to set the stage for the year. It's a time for me to think about, what do I want out of this year? How do I want this year to be different than my last year? And it's not, for me at least, it's not just about writing down a bunch of goals, because I feel like I try that every single year and things don't really ever go as planned. And so when I think about, okay, how can I do something different? For me, I just simply want to be intentional about one thing, because sometimes that's what it takes, at least for me, to then get other stuff done if I focus on the one thing that I know will branch out to all of the rest of it. And so that one thing for me is just simply learning how to trust God in a way that I never have before, and just simply surrendering everything over to him. And when I say surrender, I'm not talking about just completely giving up, having zero plan whatsoever, being super carefree about every single thing. It's not necessarily that, but it's just more so submitting to God. It is yielding the control over to him. It is saying, Lord, I trust you even when it doesn't make sense, to step in, to show up, to show out. I'm trusting you with the outcome. I don't have to worry about all of the extra details. I don't have to know the how, the when, the why. I don't have to know all of that. I just need the instruction from God. I need to be obedient, and I just need to move in faith. And I think that's what this year for me is really all about. And however that shows up in my life is how it is. Like in moments where I get flustered and frustrated, I want to just stop and say real quick to myself, even if it's just within, and just tell myself to surrender. The Bible tells us, be anxious for nothing. So all of the anxiety that I've been feeling about certain outcomes or things that I want to happen a certain way, that's not coming from God, and that's not something that God would even want me to have. So my intent for 2026 is to always say, Lord, not my will, but your will for my life. And to be okay with that, to be comfortable with that, to know God well enough to know that his intent and his will for my life is always going to be better than my own. And when I trust that, then I know that even when things don't go the way I wanted them to, it's still going to be okay. Because if I'm yielded to the one who can do exceedingly abundantly above anything that I can ask, think, or imagine, then I'm going to be fine. And I don't have to worry about the stress. I don't have to be frustrated all of the time. I don't have to be miserable because things didn't go my way. I can be excited and enjoy the journey. Like this year, I want to experience joy in a way that I have never experienced it before. And I think that is only going to happen if I surrender fully over to what God wants to do in and through my life. Whatever he wants for me is what I want for myself. I don't want anything more than that. I don't want anything less than that. I don't want a blessing that's for somebody else. I want the blessings that are for me. And the way for me to get that is to be in complete submission to him. And sometimes, yes, I do feel like it's a little bit hard for me to do that because I am one of those who likes to be in control of what's going on. Like if I do something specific, I'm expecting a certain outcome, and when that outcome don't happen, I'm just like, okay, no, wait a second now. And then I'm getting anxious about it, and then I'm flustered, and then I'm miserable, and then I'm sad, and then all of the things. It goes into a spiral, and that is not the life that I want to live anymore. And I feel like in 2025 I did a lot of the preparation work. I did a lot of, like, I learned a lot of lessons, and I was receptive to those lessons. It wasn't that I was completely against and resistant to what it was that God was trying to tell me. I feel like I took all of those lessons in, but now it's actually time to walk it out. Now it's actually time to believe the things that God told me in 2025. It's time to believe that truly the outcome is God's responsibility. And so when something doesn't happen that I want it to happen, it's not because I failed. It's not because I'm not good enough. It's not because God doesn't love me, but it is simply because God has something better in store. It's because God's plans are not my plans. And so I can trust in his plan for my life because I can trust that he cares for me. And when I live in surrender and submission to him, I believe that without a shadow of a doubt. Nobody can tell me different. Nobody can make me believe different. Nothing can make me believe different. So in 2026, I am definitely intending to protect my peace and protect my joy. And the way to do that is to surrender. And in moments where I get frustrated, to remind myself that I don't have to have all the answers. I don't have to have everything go exactly the way I want it to, because at the end of the day, it is all going to work out together for my good because I am in submission to the one who's going to make that happen. And usually, for the most part, I do like to have a plan. I feel like more recently those plans haven't really been working, and so I get a little bit frustrated in myself because now I'm like, okay, why can't I just write it all out, have an entire year plan, know exactly what I'm about to do, exactly what's going to happen, and then get the results that I want? That hasn't really been my story lately, okay? And I'm gonna be honest, I have not done the journal prompts. I have not written all of the things out of what I want done in 2026. I don't have a vision board for 2026. I have made vision boards several times before. I have done all of those things, and yet they just kind of sit there, whether it's on my phone or whether I actually create them. They just sit there, they collect dust. I don't really look at them after I make them. So I do it for the vibes, but it just really doesn't go anywhere. And it's not to say that those things don't work. They just have not been honestly what's worked for me. I feel like life is just a time where you just figure it out as you go. You're never gonna have all the answers. It's never gonna make complete total sense at all times. But that's the beauty of the journey. And I want to be more so focused on the beauty of the journey. I feel like I lose sight of that so often. 2026 is less about making the vision boards and writing out all of these goals of things that I want to accomplish, but it is more so just saying, listen, I don't know what's going to come out of this year. Lord, I don't know what you are going to do in and through me in 2026, but I'm going to show up and I'm going to be here for you to use. I'm going to be here to obey. When you tell me to do something, when you give me instruction, I'm going to be here to listen. In saying surrender, it's less so about me creating a vision board and trying to get all of these things because everybody else has them and I feel like that's what I'm supposed to have too. But it's more so saying, all right, Lord, you are in control here. You know the end from the beginning. So you let me know what we about to do in 2026. You tell me where you need me to go. And as long as I continue to pray and I continue to read his word and I continue to just draw closer to him and actually try to put more and more into the relationship that I have with God, then I feel like I can get there. I feel like I can be, more in tune with what it is that he's telling me to do. And then from there, in knowing his character and knowing who he is to me, then I can trust him enough that when he tells me to do something, I don't have to question it. I don't have to say, oh Lord, I can't do that. I'm not the one for that. I don't have to do that because it's not about me. It's not about my abilities. It's not about my skill set. It is about the faith that I have in the one who told me to do it. And it is about his abilities. It is about what he can do. And it's about trusting that his ways are not my ways, and anything that's impossible to me is still possible to him. That's how I want to live my life in 2026. Not that I want to live it super carefree and ain't no plans and ain't none of that. I do want to get there, but I just want to make sure that it's not coming from a place of I'm doing this because I have to do this and this is what I'm supposed to get in order to say that I'm successful. But it's more so saying, Lord, have your way. Whatever you want to do through my life, do it. Whatever I'm here for in 2026, let me know. Completely surrendering, submitting over to God and saying, Lord, the control is yours. What you want to do with my life, have your way. This goes back to the first day scripture that I had in my scriptures in September series, which was Proverbs 3 verses 5 through 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he shall direct your paths. I want to trust God with all my heart and lean not on my own understanding. I want to actually know what it feels like to do that in complete submission. I still want to be ambitious and of course strive towards the things that I want, because ultimately remembering that the desires that I have, they came from God. So yes, I want to work towards those things, but then I just don't want to be super hyper fixated on the outcomes and then feeling less than or feeling like I'm failing simply because things don't go the way that I wanted them to go. At the end of 2026, I want to look back and say I enjoyed the journey. 2025 was a good year and there's so much that I can look back on and be proud of, but I am really excited for what 2026 can bring, because I believe that as I surrender and as I just submit to what God is going to do, I can experience joy where I was supposed to have experienced it all along. Instead of the frustration because things didn't go exactly as I wanted, I can look at that in excitement and say, okay, it didn't go the way that I wanted, but that's because God has something better for me. And that's the mindset that I want to carry with me all year, because I feel like I'll just enjoy life that much more if I do so. So I know that there are going to be some things that God tells me to do that don't make any sense to me. It literally, that's how I felt when he told me to do this channel, and it's been a very rewarding experience. And so in the times where God tells me to do something that I don't understand and it doesn't make any sense, I want to just do it anyway, because I trust the one who gave me the instruction. The same way he told Noah to do something that didn't make any sense and Noah was like, okay, cool, basically is how I'm going to interpret it. That's exactly how I want to move as well. So I don't know what's going to come out of 2026, but I'm excited to find out. I do believe that God is going to show up and show out. I'm going to keep saying that. I believe God honors obedience, and in 2025 I did a lot of preparation, and now I feel like in 2026 it is time to make moves. It is time to surrender. It is time to just trust what God says to do, trust in the one who can provide the increase, and just believe that if I do my part, God is going to do his part. Alrighty, y'all, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.